All right, here now is Ethereum. It has been turning just like every other coin out there. This correction can be labeled with an ABC, while it was very similar to Bitcoin. It didn't exactly provide the same type of piercing level type of wedge pattern formation. Litecoin provided that quite well. So instead, this was probably a standard ABC. To find out whether this ABC was a zigzag or not, we can go to the 4-hour chart. So here is now the 4-hour chart, and I believe we have a zigzag. Zigzag has the A wave with 5 subwaves. And that can easily be already visualized. I think you can see it just by looking at it. And that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We'll leave it at that degree of trend for now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then after that, a B. Now it's at times very tricky. When you have real-time data coming in, it's easy to say this is A, B, and C. And we're now going to go start the real larger degree of trend C wave. And this can trip up a lot of people. Whereas in fact, the C is here, and the B is here, and the A is right there. And then the remaining C wave has to have 5 subwaves for a zigzag. The 535 denote the 5 subways for A, 3 subways for B, and now 5 subways for C. So we can say this is 1, 2, 3, 4. It does not overlap with 1. That's okay. And then it had a bit of an extended 5. And this wave 5 itself, you can see the 5 waves delineating. And here you can see one, two, three, 4, 5. So that gives you pretty good 3 levels of degree of confidence, 3 levels of degree of trend confidence at the ABC, at the 5 of C, and the 5 of 5 of C. And if this is the case, you can have now pretty good level of confidence saying this is, if it isn't the bottom, it is a bottom of a type that'll allow a sizable retrace of the correction. Retrace of the retrace. Now I'm going to go to 1 hour. You can see here now the subwave's a lot better. Right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Someone might say, well, why don't you put 3 and 4 right there? Technically, that will be a correct Elliott wave 5-wave count. Yes. But there is a subjective nature to Elliott wave counting. And that is, at the end of the day, it has to look impulsive. It has to look nice. And I feel having it here for wave 3 and 4 will be more ideal. Someone might say, well, why don't you bring down 1 and 2 here? Well, then you run the risk of having wave 3 almost being the shortest. Well, why don't you put wave 1 and 2 up there? You can. But that really makes it like a Munchkin miniature wave 1 and 2, and having it down here would make it look better. It has to look right. If it looks a little weird, for instance, with one wave that is so miniature, it's like having a pair of pants where one of the legs is half the size. It just doesn't look right. So you pick the option, because there are more than one way of counting, you always go and pick the option that provides the best looking count. That's what I call the form and the feature. I'm sorry, the form and the fit. Okay, so let's see if we can do 5 waves up here. I think there were 5 waves. That will look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One might ask, well, why don't you put 3 and 4 there? You can. But the problem is 4 will overlap with 1. And 4 cannot overlap with 1. That's rule number 2 for me, basically. So having 4 here leaves enough of a gap so that the 4 does not overlap with 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And after 5 waves, you get an ABC correction. You could also potentially call this whole correction maybe a triangle. But I'm not going to right now. I'm just going to keep it as a very simple ABC. You could do A, B, C, D, E. Actually, let's keep it as a triangle. That means I would count this as A, B, C, D, E. Remember, corrections can often be a triangle, ABC zigzag, ABC flat, and a combination. So really there's 4 types. So A, B, C, D, E, after that it broke out of the triangle. And now I think it's putting another 5 waves. So here's 5. But these 5 waves really lead up to wave 1 of higher degree. 1. And I think we're doing an A, B, C, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, ABC, 2, yeah, 3, 4, and 5. I do have a secret sauce on how I place my waves, which I don't diverge all of it in this blog. So if this is extended 1, 3 is okay, it's still longer than 5. For now, let's keep it this way. Most likely this will have to be extended up, but for now, let's keep it here. And by doing so, it'll enable me to update the waves as needed. So I think overall, this thing is showing a very good bottoming process and a very good retrace so far. Now I want to just go to the daily chart on this too. And this baby is turning as well. Now here, the 9-day histogram has been running a lower low series, very different from Bitcoin and Litecoin. But this now is turning the 12-day. That means most likely the next histogram will be a lower peak, and lower peak, and lower peak, and then it'll go positive. All right, I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions and comments, please let me know. Meanwhile, enjoy the bounce.